Hi, everyone, and welcome to TWF Dynamite or Mike. I'm Mike Lane, Tony Schiavone, and Taz here. And today on Dynamite or Mike, we're going to have the TWF 24/7 winnings will be on stake here today on Dynamite or Mike. Mike Lane says. You got that right, Tony Schiavone says. Xia Li, the two-time TWF 24/7 fighter who came to the toy wrestling gathering in the 11th month of last year, has only lost one time. And she's hoping that she'll hold the TWF 24/7 winnings for many years to come here in the toy wrestling gathering, Tony Schiavone says. I need to tell you one thing right now, Mike and Tony. The true Xia Li was let go last month from World Wrestling Glee. So a lot of folks out there said that in the only short that we ever made. And yes, it's true Xia Li was let go last month, but Xia Li's doll was not let go. Taz says. Well, speaking of this, who do you think, Mike Lane says, Xia Li, the first one of very few skilled wrestlers to come from the folkreich of Eastland, even though we all know Eastland is no folkreich, it's a speakership. Yeah, that's right, Tony Schiavone said. The folkreich of Eastland is not a folkreich, it's a speakership. And I know that the highest leader of Eastland and the first wicker of Eastland don't like it when folks call them a speakership because they think they're a folkreich, but they're not. But anyway, besides lawmaking, we do know Xia Li's one of the very few skilled wrestlers that come from that land. Well, that's right, Taz says. There are very few skilled wrestlers that came from Eastland. Most of them come from Dawnland. And very few of them come from any other Far Eastern lands. Alright, Mike Lane, so take it away with Joey Styles. Thank you, Mike Lane and Tony Schiavone. I'm going to be talking with Xia Li here today on Dynamite or Mike. Alright, Xia Li, you are a two-time TWF 24/7 fighter. However, you did lose it once to Ernest P. Worrell, but won it back. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Was it to shame me from coming from the folkreich of Eastland, which we all know is no folkreich, and I have the right to free speech and the 4-1 rights of North Inland to say that. Two, I said I was going to be the TWF 24/7 fighter for forever, which is a very long time in this world. However, I have kept my word, and I only lost the TWF 24/7 winnings once. Well, Xia Li, are you worried about who you're going to be wrestling, who you're going to be fighting here today? No, I don't care who I'm wrestling, who I'm fighting, because at the end of the day, I'll beat whoever I'm wrestling and fighting. Well, that's my talk with Xia Li. Back to you, Mike Lane and Tony Schiavone. Well, thank you, Joey Styles, for talking with Xia Li here today on Dynamite or Mike. But now Xia Li is now going to know who she's going to be fighting for the TWF 24/7 winnings here today. It's Shrek, another DreamWorks self. Shrek, another DreamWorks self. That's who Xia Li's going to be fighting here today on Dynamite or Mike Lane says. You got that right. Shrek is one of the well-known DreamWorks selves. He has sundry drawing films, books, plays. I don't know about film games. I guess he got that. A Farseer show. Not yet, but I guess that's going to happen sooner or later. And now Xia Li comes in the ring now. This is for the TWF 24/7 winnings. First, she is from the Folkreich of Eastland. And she's a TWF 24/7 fighter, Xia Li. And he is from the DreamWorks world, whatever world, far, far away. From the land of far, far, far away in the DreamWorks world, Shrek. Ding. Shrek coming out right now. Oh, Xia Li just knocked him right down with her arm. We do know that Xia Li can knock down any man or woman. We saw what she did in her run in WWE, Mike Lane says, when she was first on NXT and then SmackDown and then Raw before being let go. Well, that's right, Tony Schiavone said. When Xia Li was in World Wrestling Glee, we did see her bring the fight. We did see what she did on NXT and SmackDown Raw, and her last two matches she had. The last two folks she ever had to bind with was Becky Lynch and then, Lila Valkyria. Well, and then Taz said then she was on main show after that. Before they chose to let her go because they had nothing else for her to do. Tell me, Taz said, how did they go from having something for her to do when she was on NXT, losing matches, winning matches, and then teaming up with Boa, and then going on SmackDown, having something for her to do, and then not having anything for her to do, and then being on Raw, having nothing for her to do, and then having her, have a fight with Becky Lynch, and then with Lila Valkyria, then just showing up and fighting King Lee's and and the Kingly Thunder, and then letting her go. Taz says, I don't know, Mike Lane said. That was Ariel Liddell and Patrick Whitesell, Mark Shapiro, Nick Kong, and Hunter Hearst Helmsley's call to let Xia Li go. And I guess you can also say it may have been Adam Pearce and Brother Love and Michael P.X. Hayes and Shawn Michaels and Jason Albert and Steven Regal and Road Dogg's call too, but we don't really know. We'll never know because that's between them and her. Oh, Mike Lane says, and now Shrek has now gotten the upper hand. The Ogre's got the upper hand on her. Shrek wants to become the TWF 24/7 fighter. Shrek with the Ogre Splash, as we call it. He was offshooting from Brodus Clay's Hulk move when he was in WWE and also in NWA. 1, 2, and only a kick out. Shrek might have to do something else, Tony Schiavone says. Xia Li is tough. It was a hard time for Becky Lynch and Lila Valkyria to beat her when she was still in WWE. Tony Schiavone says, I think one more Ogre Splash like that and I'll bring the end to her, Taz says. I mean, hey, I won the WWF Hard Middle winnings 3 times at WrestleMania 6 between FYL. It only took one splash from Viscera for me to lose it the first time. 1, 2. Well, that didn't happen either. And only a 2 count. Shrek don't understand. Xia Li just knocked him right down with that kick of hers. She just beat another DreamWorks self, this time Shrek, Mike Lane says. We gotta watch out for Xia Li and those legs of hers. She can knock down any man, any woman, anytime, anywhere, Tony Schiavone says. Yeah. You wonder if AEW's gonna pick her up, or TNAW, or NWA, MLW, or OVW, or even if she's going to keep being in skilled wrestling or not. 1, 2, 3. Ding ding ding. Here is your winner, and still the TWF Hard still the TWF 24/7 fighter, Xia Li. And Xia Li has now beat Shrek, a DreamWorks self, here today on Dynamite or Mike. Mike Lane says, well, Shrek came very near of beating Xia Li of any man or woman or fiend. Is an ogre a fiend? Tony Schiavone says, or is some kind of Ethelin? Some kind of Ethelin, I would think. It's some kind of Ethel, Taz says. But yeah, Shrek came very far as doing what no one else could do, and only did once. So, Shrek may have been skilled enough to beat a lot of folks in far, far, far away in the DreamWorks world, but at the end of the day, he could not beat Xia Li. And I do know, Mike Lane said, that Xia Li is still the TWF 24/7 fighter, and that at the end of the day, Shrek has nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to feel guilty of. He put in a good time. He put it in. He had a good match. He had a good fight. It was good wrestling, good fighting, but it wasn't on his day, Mike Lane says. You got that right. You got that right, Mike. At the end of the day, Shrek, a DreamWorks self, came very near to beating Xia Li, a former WWE self, Tony Schiavone says. And I understand that Xia Li is about to leave, but she most likely is going to be in a bind with someone else. Oh, what? Shit. Alright, that's it. I think I'm going to be leaving now. That's it. I think I'm going to be going now. What the fuck do you want? You think you're so tough because you beat up Shrek. I beat you up, Bo. I beat him, and I'll beat you too, Bo. I don't give a shit if you are a DreamWorks self or not. I'll beat you too. I know a fighting craft. No, you don't. If you did, it didn't help you beat me. Your drawing shows were shit. Your drawing films were shit. And your drawing show, if it isn't still on Nickelodeon or not, it's still shit. Yeah, those are fighting words where I come from. Yeah, well, good for you then. You saw I did to Shrek? That's what I'm going to do to you too. Well, it looks like it is all the time we got here for Dynamite, or Mike. I, Mike Lane, Tony Schiavone, and Taz. We hope you like Dynamite or Mike, and we'll see you tomorrow for Impact or Hit.